Matthew chapter 23. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your Master, even Christ, and all ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your Master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore ye shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. Woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, Whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing, but whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing, but whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift? Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar sweareth by it and all the things thereon, and whoso shall swear by the temple sweareth by it and by him that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth thereon. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel! Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye make clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones, and of all uncleanness. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! Because ye build the tombs of the prophets, and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, If we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witness unto yourselves, that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill ye up, then, the measure of your fathers. Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them shall ye scourge in your synagogues, and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, and from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not? Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Matthew chapter 23 continues Jesus calling out the scribes and the Pharisees for being hypocrites. And he begins chapter 23 by saying that the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, and to observe what they bid, but their works do not. So further calling them hypocrites, and I think the fact that he mentions that they're sitting in Moses' seat and that you should observe what they bid, I think that that really gets tied in with Jesus proclaiming to not be here to destroy the law, but to fulfill. And I also think of that with respect to all of the various prophecies that Jesus fulfills with his lifetime and things that he would go out of his way to complete in order for prophecy to be fulfilled. And it's just a fact that the people in control are giant hypocrites, and the people who proclaim to be the most pious and righteous are typically the biggest hypocrites. And this chapter is actually full of all sorts of explanations of various modus operandi of how groups of people who are in control operate. And the first one, Jesus says that they bind heavy burdens but won't move a mere finger to help out. That sounds exactly like the type of people that control this place these days. All of the burdens of today are on the little man, and people who are born having it all, they don't have to lift a finger during their whole life. Everything just comes to them easy. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of all of the insane Sabbath ritual rule things that Jewish people have come up with. And if you don't know about how they would hire white people or hire goyim, whatever, anyone who's not Jew, and pay them like nothing or just bread or something to do all of the little things for them on the Sabbath that their rules made it so that they couldn't do. There's literally some people out there that pay people to like push buttons for them and stuff on the Sabbath because they won't do it, but they'll pay somebody else to do it. And speaking of that, so Jesus brings this up in context of there's a lot of people out there that they want everything to be seen of men. And I appreciate it so much, and it makes me know that Jesus is the correct answer. You can only get to God through Jesus Christ, because he's the only one that says things that actually make sense and that aren't hypocritical, and that just completely, I know in my soul that these things are wrong, the way that these people act. And Jesus is the only one out there who puts them in their place and says the truth, what we know is the truth. If you have any discernment, you should know that there's a lot of religions out there that do the very negative things that Jesus points out. And the one, I mean, a major one, doing everything to be seen of men. There's Muslims in particular, I would say, it seems like their entire religion revolves around everything that they do to be seen of men and how you're better than other people. And Muslims always, during Ramadan, are talking nonstop about how they're fasting, but they won't tell anyone that they only day fast. They're only fasting during the day, and they have feasts every night. And a lot of them wake up before the sun it's all this sun worship stuff. It's all about eating right before the sun comes up and then complaining all day about, oh, I'm fasting all day, every day of Ramadan, and then pigging out once the sun sets. It's just sun worship crap. And making yourself out to be better than other people because more pious and righteous because you follow things that man made up. So Jesus says, don't call anybody a rabbi. Okay, where are the sympathetic to Jewish people Christians? What do they think about that? Jesus specifically says, don't call anybody a rabbi. Okay, sympathetic to Catholics. Jesus tells, don't call anybody your father. What are Catholics saying right now? Crickets? Don't call anybody your master. This one's kind of interesting. It's like a trifecta of negative. You got the rabbis, you got the fathers, and then you got the masters, the master masons. Really, Jesus hit 3 big nails on the head with one swing on this one. Don't call anybody rabbi. Don't call any man father, because there's only one father in heaven. And don't call anybody a master. All of these things are just, it's things of men, to giving yourself a title as if that elevates you. And Jesus tells us the opposite. Humble yourself. Be the servant. Don't fill up your life with getting all these titles and puffing yourself up with just titles for yourself. Make yourself the servant. Don't try to make yourself this great thing that's weighted on hand and foot, and people are constantly saying how amazing you are. You should lower yourself, become a servant. I guess I'll just expand a little bit on the rabbi, father, master thing. I mean, the rabbi thing's pretty self-explanatory. There's still a religion out there today that calls people rabbi. Father, same thing. But also, I don't call my dad father. And it's something that I've always known. If you speak English, I feel like just speaking English, you know that the word father and dad are completely different. You'll even hear people mentioning it. I know that there's songs out there that mention having a father but not having a dad. So there is a difference between father and dad, for sure. And I don't call my biological dad father unless by mistake. And I think that that's a real teaching that we really should follow. Your dad is not your father, because we all have one father. There's only one father, and it's not your dad. So master, just a connection with masonry. Everything's a master's degree. If you are an illuminated individual, people are they're going to call you master of your craft. And yeah, we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to live in reverence of titles for men. That's not life. And the greater you are, the more you should humble yourself on earth and become a servant. So some verses that really get me in this chapter is, well, specifically verse 13 in this chapter just really does a good job of explaining the way that those in control operate. They shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, but neither go in themselves. And I think that this is what Jesus is explaining, how those in control, and they are the religious people. I mean, these are the people, they full well know what Genesis says when they go and tell people that they're on a spinning ball. They know what Genesis says. All of those pastors that are preaching in churches and talking about outer spaceball land, they know what Genesis says. And they teach not that. And I think that's a big part of why do they teach all of those things that take people away from God. It's to not get people to go to heaven. And they also encourage sin, and they keep guard the truth for themselves. So, I mean, maybe not necessarily your 501c3 pastor. A lot of those people are as duped as anybody else. This probably goes a little bit higher. The whole Big Bang thing. Who came up with the Big Bang idea? It was some dude out of the Vatican or a Jesuit or something. I don't know. You can go look into it. But what is a religious person, like a really high up Jesuit? What is that type of person doing, coming up with what's supposed to be, or what's peddled as, a scientific idea? Why is that person coming up with the Big Bang? And it's this very idea. They're shutting up the kingdom of heaven against men. They want people to believe in the lies that take them away from God, and they also want men to corrupt themselves. Why do you think Jewish people are so involved with the pornography industry? Matthew chapter 23, verse 13. Continuing on, verse 15. So verse 15 goes in with verse 13. It's just that it's a whole worldwide thing. So verse 15 is what it talks about. These people, they go and they compass lands, and they make it one proselyte. And when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. And just the expression there, child of hell, too. I think that there's another thing that I read recently about, it's almost like, you know how we are not of this world, those who are saved, and there's something about us being there from the beginning. It really is like we agreed that it would be okay to come to earth, and we're given amnesia, and we were there in the beginning, and we've just forgotten. We aren't from this world. And it's almost like they, Team Evil, are also not from this world, but it's like we're originally from heaven and they're originally from hell type thing. That's just what I read when I read this. I'm not saying that's exactly the case, because all of that stuff is so mysterious to me. I don't know the nature of how we were before we were born on earth. I don't know that. But it's just, that's what this makes me think of. Verse 15, where it's saying that they're the child of hell. It's just an interesting concept of being a child of hell. It's like they're not even from earth either. We're not from earth, but it's like they're not even from earth either. They're from hell, and we're from heaven. Again, I'm not saying that that's specifically the case, just what I'm reading from this. It could be the truth. Okay, then actually a large part of this chapter is talking about, it begins, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing, but whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. And I think that it just must have been a big part of the culture at the time, this dealing with people swearing about things. I have noticed this with various religions, that it does seem like, I mean, I'll just say it, I've just noticed certain Muslim people that swear on, I just know instances of people being like, I swear on my mother's life and stuff. And even, I feel like even for non-religious Americans, that's a really strange thing to say, that you swear on your mother's life. And so, I don't know, I've heard a Muslim person say that before, and it took me off guard. Like, wow, people really, that's not like a normal thing to say. And growing up, I remember people saying, I swear to God, whatever. And anyways, that's what they're getting at here. People can and do swear on things. They shouldn't, but they do. And of course, we have free will. And it seems like Jesus is talking about some sort of convention that they had at the time, where it was acceptable to pray or to swear by the temple, but it was unacceptable to swear by the gold of the temple. And Jesus points out the obvious hypocrisy of that. And Jesus says a lot of stuff about this, so it's interesting that it was such a big deal. I wonder, would you get into trouble if you swore by the gold of the temple? Would you actually become a debtor? So this is just what it made me think of. What it made me think of is, like, what if I said that I swore by all the gold in Fort Knox? Well, if I was wrong, or if I was lying or wrong, then I would owe somebody that thing, I guess, is their logic. They're saying you're not allowed to say that you swear by all the gold in Fort Knox, because you could never pay that if you did turn out to be wrong. I don't know why that is unacceptable. It's not like if you swore on the temple and then you were wrong, it's not like you can give them the temple. So anyways, obviously it doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical, and that's why Jesus is calling them out on the hypocrisy of it. But if you were confused reading this section, or hearing me read this section about all the different, if you swear by the this or the that, I think that he's just talking about how they had certain conventions of the time, and Jesus is pointing out the hypocrisy, the nonsense of their tradition. More just nonsense in this case. That doesn't make any sense that it would be acceptable to swear on a temple, but not acceptable to swear by the gold that's in the temple. But yeah, I think it just has to do with that weird lawyery logic. Well, you can't swear on the gold because you don't actually have that gold to pay it up. That's just a weird idea. And of course, I side with Jesus. Jesus's explanation makes a lot more sense. Jesus mentions tithing and how these people, it is all just for show. They are so concerned about looking like the best and having the best tithings, instead of worrying about the weighty matters of the law, like judgment, mercy, and faith. They're more concerned with looking like the best than being a good person. God's will is good, is to be good and do good. It's not to make yourself appear to be good to others. That's just a huge discrepancy. These people, their whole life is about trying to come off as looking good to others, when it's supposed to be about a personal relationship with God, and you're supposed to want to be the best because you want to do God's will, and you're supposed to humble yourself and not show any of that off. You're just supposed to keep it between you and God, and on the outside to other people, you should look like a lowly servant. Jesus ends with just an amazing, I love it when he points out that they're admitting that they're the children of the people who killed the prophets. I just love that part. I'll just read it again. And say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. Wherefore ye be witness unto yourselves that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. It's one of those moments where these people spend so much time and effort and energy trying to get Jesus to look bad, but Jesus is so easily able to make these people look like the fools that they are by showing their hypocrisies and showing, well, you said it. You just said that you're the children of the people that killed the prophets. And it becomes kind of a sort of a meme in the media, these things, answering questions with questions, always having really witty comebacks. I can think of all sorts of media that follows these things. And the whole idea of, well, you said it, like, well, you just said it. I didn't even have to say it. And I think that people really do pick up and emulate the way that Jesus speaks and acts to try to come off as having cool ideas and being smart. They steal it from Jesus and use the things that he did for their own personal projects or whatever. Like I said, just mostly media. In the media all the time I'll see people do things, and it's like, the Bible did it, Jesus did it. There you go. You know the meme of Simpsons did it? It's the Bible did it first, Jesus did it, and people rip it for themselves. Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? Just imagine being there. And that's verse 33, by the way. Just imagine Jesus has been spending the day in this temple just ripping these people a new one, and they're supposed to be the biggest, best people who everybody thought that they were the most righteous, and oh, those people are of course going to heaven. Look how rich and powerful they are. And Jesus is not having it and telling people the truth, and it's amazing. Could you just imagine how much these people love Jesus, the lowly people that were in the temple, and they were listening to Jesus badmouth all those horrible hypocrites. It must have been the best day in these people's lives to hear Jesus roast these phonies. And that's it. God bless everyone.